record you. There's Dr. Tony. All righty. Oh, let me turn the light on. Maybe that'll help. Pull up the chat. Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday night. It's been a while. It's been a minute since we've hung out, but we've got some incredible news. The news that we've been waiting for several months, that we've been researching. For those of you who are really looking to get into larger format business or bigger format real estate, yeah, it's going to be, you're going to get excited, very excited indeed. So we'll just wait another 20 seconds and we will get rolling. And of course, I'm here with my partner Dazzle. Let's see, we are recording. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. If you haven't been to our YouTube channel, that's where we've done so much content. It's getting such great reviews there, but educating on how the funding works, how the businesses all work, the Shopify store, the Amazon store, the Turo business, the car dealership, the vending, the crypto, what we do with the money, how we manage the taxes of it, how to be an affiliate, how to join our ranks. All of it is there. And tonight we're going to do a review because we're going to have some new faces that we haven't seen before. The word's getting out. And then we're going to drop the bomb on you all. What we've been waiting for, what we were promised, just to be fully transparent, what we were promised when Daz and I first got into this business before we bought our own franchise from the gentleman who hooked us up, some of you know who that is, he was unfortunately unable to deliver. And we have been searching for a way to get this particular delivery of credit the next level up, and we've got it. Now, you all know we have the level 1 credit. A lot of you have received that level 1 credit based on your FICO score. And we're going to be talking about level 3 credit, which is equity based. So you've got property and you want to get a big loan, millions of dollars, or maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's locked into a collateral that's also the property in which you're going to buy. So, a 70-30 loan on, something like that, like $1 million property, they'll give you $700,000, no problem. But you still got to come up with $300,000. And our level 1 funding, it just ain't going to do it, right? You can get up to, I think, what, Daz, did somebody get like 108,000? I think that's like the maximum we've gotten somebody so far, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so it ain't going to get you out there. So we've had the level 2. We've had some, let's say we've been dating vendors for level 2, and we've gone on a lot of ugly first dates, and we finally have. Oh boy, my analogy is going to break down here. A girlfriend. This is all going to go really bad. We finally found somebody who is going to be, I think, I'm excited to bring them to the table. We've talked about them in the past, but we're going to bring them to you in a whole new way. So with that said, welcome to Legacy Ascending. If you haven't been with us before, I'm just going to go over some of the things that we do. Our primary focus is getting you funded. And once you're funded, our secondary focus is, what do you do with the money? And how many of you know that people that get the lottery, that are making $4 million a year for the next 26 years, go broke because they don't know what to do with their money? They just don't know. And just because you have money doesn't mean it's going to solve it. We have to have a plan. And that's where Daz and I and all of our vendors who we trust come into play. And we're not, tax advisors. We're not, although I'll be an enrolled agent here pretty soon, but we're not financial planners. We're just a beautiful African-American woman and a bald white guy. That's us. But we do have some good vendors who get some great results. And we've had people do very, very well in a very short period of time, given the funding that they have. So we're just going to briefly go over some of the vending and vendors with whom we've done business, with whom we recommend you do business. If it's in your wheelhouse, some of these things we're going to offer, you're going to be like, I don't really want to do that. But that And we believe we've got something for everyone, if not a few things for everyone. I got to really work on my grammar. Anyway, first things first, we got to have funding. Level 1 funding for us is the easiest thing in the world. Somebody called me up today and they're like, I want to get funding. How hard is it? I'm like, do you have $1? It's that easy. And sometimes credit is cheaper than cash. In fact, always. And you're going to go to the number 3 scores.com. You need to have a 685 clean credit report. And a lot of folks are saying, oh, I got a 685 or I got a 700, but I got, what have we seen, Des? We've seen people with massive lates and what was the other one I just saw? Oh, a foreclosure. Like, yeah, no, I get that you have a 745 credit, but you can't have a foreclosure or a bankruptcy or an IRS tax lien. This is coming from a very high level of our funders, our lenders are coming at a very high level, and because they're used to lending to corporations, which will help you set up because you'll need to do it when you get funded, they want to see very clean. The number is sort of a baseline, but it's really, do you have a 30-day late? If you do, it ain't going to work. Even if you got an 820, they ain't going to give you a penny. So we have vendors that help you clean up your credit if that's something that you want to do. If you've got over 50% of your credit and you've spent and it's all out. In other words, your credit footprint right now is really over 50% of your overall borrowing, your capability. That ain't going to work either. If you've got one card that's over 50%, like the rest are zero, but one card's way up there, we got to get that either disseminated to other cards or paid down. So we say 685, but please, it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed at 685. We've seen people with 685 get $30,000, this is the bottom, but they had clean 685. So hopefully this makes sense to you. Corporate clean is what we like to say. No blemishes, no court whatever's going on, no lates, no foreclosures, please. Once you go and you check number 3 scores.com, cost you $1. You're going to get a nice, beautiful, pretty little printout. That's what the website looks like. And you're going to get a nice printout of your credit situation. You're going to email funding@legacyascending.com with a PDF. Now, you may have a PDF. Your browser may save the PDF automatically, which would be great. But if it doesn't, then you kind of have to go print and then save as a PDF. So don't get confused. Sometimes your browser, depending on what it is, will save you as an HTML, we can't use that. In the body of the email you're going to send us with your PDF, your name, your address, your phone, and your last 4 of your social slave number. That way it goes to our secure email, and we forward that right on to our lender. And from there, they take care of it all. We have you put that stuff in the body of the email just so we know when they respond who it is, because we don't look at your stuff. It's all very secure. Any questions about that? This will get you up to $100,000. Now, who gets $100,000? Well, to be fair, you over 800. We've seen people with 820 get 60 because they had some issues. But if you've got corporate clean credit over 800, you can expect to see upwards of high 5 figures and maybe low 6s. Our average is around 45, 50. Most folks get somewhere in that zone. Now, we're also going to help you maximize your funding capability because we got some secrets up our sleeve. That's our level 1 funding. Once you get funded, what can you do? Well, shoot, what could you do with $50,000? Some of you all are going to say, oh, I'd pay down my debt. Oh, no. 0%, which is what we would offer you, is great. But that's not what, you don't use that money to pay down your debt, y'all. You use that money to invest. And one of the more popular ones, hold on a second here. You want me to turn on closed captioning? I think someone already did. Did you do it already? Let's see.
Yeah, I just did it just now.
Oh, okay.
It should be on.
Sorry, it just showed up at Discord. You're asking me. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. This is one of our most popular, and that's the Shopify store. And it's basically turnkey. For those of you who do very well with the credit, or you have your own cash, not that I recommend you use your own cash, but you put up about $50,000, you have $5,000 in reserve, And our vendor takes care of everything. Guaranteed. If you don't get your $50,000 back in 8 months, they cut you a check. It's, how could you lose? You can't. We've got people doing between, and right now we're kind of coming, but the retail's coming back up. In January, it was pretty low, as it always is after Christmas, but now it's coming up. People are starting to see $10,000, $15,000, and by the time we get to high spending months, it'll get up to about 30. How would you like to do that? I put 55,000 in, and I make 30,000 a month. That's a good investment with a guarantee. Then we have an Amazon store vendor. For those of you who don't quite get the high five figures, it's $18,000 up front, and then however much you want to put in product. It doesn't have to be 25. You could do 5. Obviously, it cuts into your cash flow, but you're debt free very quickly if you can do this number, and you're returning on investment in about 12 months, which is pretty rad. Again, a ridiculous agreement. Now, because the cash is lower, different vendor, no guarantee. We're talking Amazon, y'all. We're not talking some weird little store somewhere. One of the great things about the Amazon store is that it is scalable. The Shopify store, not really scalable. You get one, and then if you want to add to it, you can't add another 10 grand. You got to crank up another 50 grand. But with the Amazon store, you can add as much product as you want. So you can start off with, let's say 5,000, build to 20, 25, and then get out to 50, $75,000, keep reinvesting. And now you're cranking 12,000 a month or more, which is a pretty great return. Some of y'all have never seen that kind of a return, and they're doing the work for you. Pretty dope. We've talked about automatic teller machines. Some of you are like, what's that? ATM. That's what that means, automatic teller machine. Some of you are old enough to remember what a teller is. And very lucrative if you know where to place them. Now, we happen to have some resources with the government where the government posts where they need ATMs, where they need vending machines, and the vending machine is the next one here, another very lucrative thing to be done. The tricky part with ATM is obviously moving the cash, but it's very inexpensive to get an armed security guard or 2, depending on your neighborhood, to go with you to reload, and that's it. You're dealing in cash, which is pretty great. Vending, the same thing. We got government connections that'll get you hooked up, and for a very small, look at this would be if you only got 20 grand from us or 15 grand. This would be, you'd be on the bottom of the folks who get funded, who are approved. So even then, you could be cranking 60,000 a year. What? Now, some of you may not like that. Some of you may want to do I want to do retail. I want to do business, and that's Turo. And Daz and I have been yelling about Turo since we got almost started. And I got to experience actually renting my first Turo cars when I was in LA, or late in 2022. And boy, it's slick. It's a slick process. And I've talked to a couple of the guys in LA who are doing very well for themselves and just continually to expand their car inventory. And with the Bank of America deal, where they will give you 90% loan to value to buy a car, and with our vendor if you've been on our YouTube channel or any of our calls since December, we've had our vendor on there telling us exactly how to do the auctions, where, check it out, you can get an auction car for 80, 70, 60% below Kelley Blue Book, then go to the pink slip loan place that will give you 100% loan to value, pull the money out of the car and go buy 2 more. It's unbelievable what's available, the leverage in the car industry. And I'm not going to go into all the math, but for a family business, if you're looking to get your family involved, for $6,000, you can hurt yourself, and that's $600 with 10 family members, $400 with 15. And if you've incorporated, like we've been telling you all to do, you can really do an incredible family heritage, a generational wealth building concept where the entire family is involved. And that's what's available when you know what to do with the money that we can get you. Again, we're not financial planners. We're not certified to do anything except look really, really good. And but we will introduce you to our vendors. We do coach you through all of it. If you're an affiliate, our coaching comes free. And an affiliate basically gets a percentage off of sales of people who work with us on getting funding or getting into the stores or getting into the businesses. And you basically, you're, a friend of the business and building it alongside us. We also have the ability to do a car dealership, which combined with a Turo car business is just like such a no-brainer. Such a no-brainer. But combined, and I'm just going to go through these slides. You've seen me do these before. But within 4, 5, 6 months, you're deep into six figures. And with a successful car business, especially now, how many of you have tried to go to a new car lot and buy a car in the last 6 months? Have you tried it? Put a 1 in the chat box if you tried to go to a new car. Doesn't matter what the manufacturer is, Toyota, Mazda, Ford, there ain't nothing on them lots. There ain't no new cars going on right now. But used cars, I'm gonna tell you what, I've got a 2020 Toyota Tundra. I leased it, so it's new. I bought it new. It was $42,000, Kelley Blue Book when I got it. I mean, that was its sticker price, actually, not Kelley Blue Book. Would you know that it's worth 46 now, 3 years later? Because there ain't no trucks, yo. Ain't no trucks going out. So the ability to get used cars and flip them is such a no-brainer. And if you structure your business correctly, with the money that ain't your money, by the way, it's the money that our lenders gave you, you're making bank. And then last but not least is we've been doing real estate, talking about it quite a bit. Of course, we have our advanced masterclass in real estate that's available. The newest addition to that is the tax auctions. We're so excited. Our vendor with taking you through an entire tax auction process. Some of you don't know what tax auctions are. Please go to our YouTube channel, which Daz just posted in the chat, and take a look at what's available with her. She can turn your life around. What would it be like if you only spent $10,000 to buy your first house? $10,000 to buy your first house, y'all. Can you think about that? Does that get you excited? Put an exclamation point in the chat box. And if you continue to double down and leverage, you can literally make hundreds of thousands of dollars in a very short period of time in the world of equity. And you don't worry about markets going up and down because you're still in these houses at the auctions. And these aren't auctions like we're used to, like, oh, it's a foreclosure, not a foreclosure auction. Some of you are used to that, where you're going to see a $300,000 house marked down to $240,000, and that's still a good deal. But what if you saw a $300,000 house marked down to $10,000? Well, how's that possible? Because at a tax auction, the opening price is what's owed on the tax. So you could have $1 million property for 50 grand or less, and if you caught it right, you'd really, really make it happen for yourself. And this is what our vendor, this is what she specializes in, of course. And these are the profit margins that you make working with us as an affiliate. And we've added some great things where you get 10% off the stores of people that you bring in and all those kinds of things. And then, of course, you, on anything real estate oriented, you're making money all the way down. I think it's the 5th level now, which is pretty dope. Any questions about what I've done here? I've gone really fast because I want to get to our special guest and our special opportunity with our level 2 funding. Anybody have any questions? You can hop off mute. And Daz, if you see or hear anything that I missed, roll on. Anybody? All right. Since I see nothing, we have a very special guest. As I mentioned early on, we've been so successful getting people funded in our level 1 program. And we've done over $1 million in the last couple of months. Mark, are you talking? Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. So I just want to make sure you're connected, Mark. Are you with us?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. All right, great. I'm going to introduce you. So Mark Miller has been on our calls before. He is a man of many talents. He's a Renaissance man, and like us, he's incredibly good looking. And he works in all manner of corporate and retail and all kinds of other things. See, there he is. Look how good looking he is. So, he has a very special offer for us that solves, kind of plugs a hole in our level 2 financing for those of you who want to do more than just 90 or 80 or $50,000, but you want to work out your corporate credit and leverage that for your financial success. I give you Mark Miller.
How's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully well. You don't have to respond. I know you're on mute, but appreciate that, Mark. So I've worked with Legacy Ascending for a short period, but a decently impactful period from the time we've met with Das and Mark. So I appreciate that. And a lot of the things that they have are leverageable opportunities. And a lot of people are trying to find, that opportunity where their capital or getting capital can be put and parked into an opportunity to create residual income. So what we do at Access Capital is very have some similarities to what Mark and Daz does on the capital acquisition side, but we data furnish in addition to that. And essentially what that is on the corporate side, we report business trade lines. We report data in the form to SBFE, Small Business Financial Exchange, which is the largest data aggregator for financial institutions. You guys can look them up, SBFE, Small Business Financial Exchange. Just about every national and regional bank uses SBFE to report data to and pull data from when they are making lending decisions. So what does that do for you guys as clients that have corporations? As Mark said, is level 2, I believe it is, takes that funding to the next level when you have an entity structure and you're building corporate credit and you're looking to get better terms when it comes to business credit, credit cards, loans, BLOCs, business lines of credit, vehicle financing, equipment financing. It increases your odds and your lendability. Experian Business is the other business entity that we report to also. Equifax Commercial and Credit Safe. At the end of the day, data points are super important. If any of you are familiar with personal credit, and understanding how the makeup of your personal credit is super important to the bureaus and how banks see it, just as well as your business credit. So personal credit will get you so far, but when you have an entity and you're trying to operate in commerce and you're trying to do business and scale that business, you want to have business credit. And I'm not just talking about net 30s and vendors. Those are all good. Those move the needle. Those are gap accounts. They do what they do, depending on the type of business you run. They are super important. Anytime you can leverage an institution or a bank and not use your money, OPM, is always a good day. Not having to tie up your liquidity and operate and scale and run a business and essentially make money. So when business credit, the way we post it and set it up under the entities, we can do it anywhere from 10,000 on Equifax and all the way up to $500,000 on Experian. We can actually go higher, but most people don't go that high. It needs to make sense for a business structure to have that much credit reporting underneath that entity. So for those that have entities and are trying to operate in this level 2 funding, as a PG, there are some no personal guarantee options that this allows you guys to participate in. But primarily, you want to have decent personal credit to really maximize the opportunity. We also have fundable ready shelf corporations. I don't know if am I talking about that too, Mark? Okay, so We have fundable ready shelf corporations. And essentially, I'm sure some of you, if you haven't heard of what a shelf corporation or a
Let me just say that this is so great that you bring it up, because that's the whole point of level one. Originally, the whole point of level one funding, for those of you who've been around since the beginning, the whole point of level one funding was to get 50, 60, 70, 80, $90,000 and use that money to go buy what he's about to talk about. Leverage that money to go get a shelf company that then can give you even more credit, and then ultimately the level 3 equity credit. So originally, level 1 was specifically to get level 2 credit. Well, we've kind of had to shuck and jive, and it's great because people are making money doing these other businesses with their level 1 credit, but it was never designed to be that way. What it's always designed is what Mark is talking about. Sorry to interrupt.
No worries. And so, being able to have an entity in place or as proxy between you and the bank is super important when starting a business, scaling a business, and sustaining a business. A lot of our lenders, we are a COI center of influence with a number of banks. And a lot of times there needs to be what's called TIB, time in business. If you ever hear that acronym, that's what they're talking about. What's your TIB, time in business? To really maximize lending, you want to be 2-3 years time in business. A lot of people, and quite possibly a lot of you on this call, don't have 2 to 3 years to wait for that entity or that LLC that you just set up this year or last year, or coming out of COVID, to get that time in business. So what a shelf corporation is, it's an entity that's been literally set up in a specific state by a specific individual or a business that has no financial activity, has no active activity on it. It is kept current in that particular state. The statement of information, the annual filing is kept current in that particular state. So when you purchase a shelf corporation and a transfer takes place, you get a lien-free, clear corporation that you can essentially operate as a merger, an acquisition, or just as that business that you want to start. It has no banking data, has no data, so you will have to get an EIN for it. You have to open up a bank account, but it gives you credibility. It allows you to build corporate business credit a lot faster. It allows you to participate in certain SBA products. It's great for M&As when buying other businesses. They want to see credibility. They want to see age. There are niche specific reasons like trucking and different things like that, where seasonality is super important when it comes to an age corporation. So what we've been able to do with the fact that we data furnish and we have access to hundreds, if not thousands of shelf corporations in almost every state, is the ability to create a fundable ready corporation, meaning we will post and report anywhere from 50 to 100 to 150 or even $200,000 in business credit on that corporation. So now you have the ability to take that company with your decent 680 or better credit, sometimes even lower, depending on the industry and the way the NICA code is set up, into these lending institutions to take advantage of the funding that's in place. So you cut that time frame down. It also, again, allows you to build better vendor credit relationships. We have in our programs a list of no PG institutions when there's 3 years or more behind that business, with the business trade lines that we have posted to the business profile. Now, these business trade lines are on there permanently. They do not come off. And when we post them, they are financial accounts. They are financial service accounts. And we pay them down 30% every month till it's at a zero balance. If you don't want to pay down, just let us know. But we pay them down every month so that the debt service looks organic and authentic when we report the tape. And so the institutions that are lending to you see that and understand that.
So
So
can
again,
you, I hate to interrupt, can you, I mean, you're so knowledgeable, you know this stuff so backwards and forwards that it's so easy for you to talk. And like most of these people have no idea that this is even possible. So what would happen if somebody came to us and they had a 750 credit, we were able to get them $60,000 at 0% for 22 months, which is kind of what we do. And now they've got 60 grand and they want to go to the next level. They want to get a company, they want to get a shell company, and they want to be able to put, let's say, 300 grand into the marketplace to build. Maybe they want to start doing a mobile home business, like a trading and building a mobile home business. They need 300,000 in capital from a company. They come to you. What happens next? How does it work?
So once they, secure that initial capital from you guys, say 60 grand, we have different packages starting at 5,900, all the way up to 35,000, to where, depending on what the project is, what the end game is, what the scope of work, what their goals are, we'll build out a custom package for them, assisting them in additional capital raises, some on the personal guarantor side. And let's say you're in real estate, there's a number of institutions that will lend no PG just because you have 50 to 100 to 150,000 in our data furnishing accounts reporting to that business. And so that gives you an opportunity to leverage that business to get into whatever project you might have in mind, in addition to the cash credit or the loans that you have an opportunity, because not only, like I said, we're reporting to Experian Business, Equifax Commercial, we're reporting to SBFE. You have PNC, Key Bank, US Bank, Bank of the West, Chase. These all look at, just to name a few, look at SBFE data. So imagine having a 3-4-year-old corporation with $100,000 in SBFE data going for an approval. Your odds and your approvals just double at the end of the day, just because of that factor right there.
Awesome. So what kind of time frame would they be looking at to get the 300 grand, you think?
So from the time that we get everything set up, we prefer doing things at the beginning of every month, because then that gives us a full 30-day window to get the corporation transferred into the new person's name, or if they're going to be member managed or entity managed, get all that done. We go in at we data furnish and upload on the 13th of every month, and our business trade lines usually show up within 10 days. So that gives you that whole month of the purchase, transfer, and data furnishing to that corporation, because you need the new EIN once you take ownership. And then from that point, we structure the roadmap for the business funding with our lenders. So a lot of times we set up strategic calls directly with these lenders that they'll be talking to and understanding what they're trying to go after, whether it's a business line of credit, whether it's a credit card, whether it's equipment finance, term loans, and things of that nature. And again, these are still no doc opportunities, because there is no true revenue. It's all projected going forward. I do have instances where I have clients, they do acquire these companies and they go ahead and file the last year or the last 2 years taxes. So now you're talking a whole nother ball game when it comes to lending. You file a year or two worth of tax returns. You have a good CPA or accountant on board that understands, hey, I want to show 100,000. I want to show $250,000 in revenue. What does my tax liability look like? Okay, 10 grand, fine. File the tax returns. You can 4506 and full doc a business loan. You're getting 100 to 200 to 300 in funding. You go ahead and pay out of that funding, that tax liability. You rinse and repeat the process. Now, a lot of people don't want to go that route because they, they're just scared. They don't know what they don't know. But my real estate investors, those that understand the power of leverage and OPM, it's a no-brainer for them. They'll file $500,000 in income on one of those companies, have a $25,000 tax liability, but they understand what they're getting with that, with that revenue showing, with those tax returns there. So the opportunity makes sense to them.
Is there any chance or is there any concern about fraud?
Well, not necessarily, because at the end of the day, you're going off of projections. A lot of these loans, when you stay under what's called the exposure limit, it's all projections. So what underwriters look at is all reasonable access to income. That's how they word it. All reasonable access to income. That could be child support, that could be alimony, that could be Social Security, that could be trust fund, that could be any household income that you have reasonable access to. Projections are projections at the end of the day. You don't want to get crazy with your projections, but at the end of the day, you have to operate in the realm of what you really expect this business can do in income when you're putting stated income down. Now, if you're filing taxes and you're generating that income on there, you're responsible for that. You have that tax liability under that. Now, it would be crazy for you not to make sure you handle and manage and facilitate whatever that tax liability is underneath that new corporation or that seasoned corporation.
Yeah, you guys need to understand there's two things at play here you may not have ever heard before. One is the idea that he's talking about corporate. And in corporate, it's not about how much did you make. It's all about how much could you make. And that's what banks want to see, because they know that the purpose of business is to make money. The purpose of social slaves like you and I is not to make money. It's to live well or to, get rich or whatever. Banks don't care about that. But they do care about businesses making money. That's why when you go through our level 1 program, you have to set up an LLC or some kind of corporate structure, because they don't want to give you 0% if you're a social slave, because you're going to go out and buy a Lamborghini or some nonsense. But they know that if you're going to do business, their chances of you paying it back are much better. And so when you're talking about, oh, well, what about my taxes? Well, and I've been talking about this on our TikTok channel, taxes are voluntary. And it doesn't mean that you don't pay taxes. You can choose it. No, we pay taxes. But what's voluntary about it is how much you say you owe. And has anybody heard of the IRS going after you because you reported too much income and paid too much tax? No, no one, because the IRS is like, more money for us. So if you, and a lot of people get this all messed up, like, oh, you're fraudulently reporting. Fraudulent, that's like saying you're laundering money, but I'm paying all my tax on it. Well, then you're not laundering money if you're paying tax, y'all. How can it be fraud if you're paying? So if you had a company that was like, we made no money, but I put down on my 1120 form that we made $1.2 million, and at 21% tax, I paid $220,000 in tax. Yeah, but you didn't make any money. IRS don't care. And now I have a tax return that says I made 1.2. And if I know that I can spend $220,000 in tax and make 10 million because I can leverage that money from the bank, why wouldn't you do it? You guys see what he's talking about? If you understand what he's talking about, this is high-level math for some of you who are still in the poverty mindset. Time to get out. You guys put a 3 in the chat box if you're understanding. Put a 3 in the chat box, y'all. It's high-level stuff.
You got to remember, the tax codes were written for businesses, not individuals.
Preach.
It was not written for you and me as the living being. It was
some of you don't realize that those 1099 forms, businesses don't send each other 1099s. Mark and us have done some business. We ain't sending his business 1099s. That's for social slaves from business, written for business to win. If you haven't incorporated, if you're not in that mindset, you're already losing. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So, I mean, just to piggyback what Mark was saying, yeah. We have to get out of a broke mindset. We have to understand that we can't focus on what is this costing me. We have to focus on what is this going to make me. And that's when we shift, because poor people know the cost of everything and the value of nothing. So you have to get out of this mindset of you got to get into who, not how. who can help me make this money, not how do I have to figure this out? Because who creates problems? How creates problems, who creates solutions? So Mark, myself, and a few other people, we're the who for you. We're that who that can help you get to that next level when you're stuck in trying to figure out, how do I shoulder this? How do I make more money? How do I get more capital? Okay. You need more who's, and we're the who's for you to be able to set up the shelf corporations, to be able to get you the capital that you need to help you leverage that into an income producing opportunity. So again, don't wait till you need capital to get it and can't have access to it. Get as much capital that you can now, because you can write off the interest. And remember, you never pay taxes on borrowed debt.
Boom. Boom.
You don't pay it on borrowed money.
This
okay?
is you guys talking about watching Dave Ramsey. You know, Dave Ramsey's headquarters is like 10 miles from me. It's got to be $150 million thing. And he's like, oh, you guys got to save money. Save money. Don't ever borrow money. You know what that's called? You know what he's called? A shill. Keeping everybody, because if there's no taxes on borrowed money and you get to write off the interest and it didn't cost you any time other than to write it, right? What's the most valuable resource on the planet? The only one that can't be renewed, time.
Okay.
And it doesn't cost you any time to write a loan. I mean, other than the writing part. Why wouldn't you do it? Especially level 1, it's in 0%. I know that the loans he's talking about from the bank are not, or level 2 are not 0%, but they're still not going to be what you're looking at on a credit card, which I get Dave Ramsey's talking about, don't go to debt on credit card. Yeah. But debt is how everybody you know who's rich got rich. They didn't use their own money. Don't talk to me about Warren Buffett. His first investment was $500. He borrowed it from a buddy because he had a good plan. And Quincy Jones told me at a party, y'all know who Quincy Jones is. I asked Quincy, I said, hey, Q, why don't you just fund your own records? He goes, because, my brother, if it's a good record, somebody else will pay for it. I'm like, yeah, man. So, carry on.
So, I was asked, kind of spur of the moment to hop on here. So if I would, I would have been more prepared to show you guys some.
No, it's all right. It's all right. So if you guys have interest in doing this, reach out to Daz and I, and then we will connect you with Mark, and then Mark will run you through all the things. But please don't come into this going, hey, yeah, it sounds great. I'll just get some money. We need to create a plan for you. You don't have to do what we're saying, but you can come in with a plan. Some folks come in with a business already, and that's great, but we'll get you funded. You already know what you're going to do. You're going to buy tractors or something. I mean, beautiful, fabulous. But this is not free money. There's no such thing as social slave money. This is big business opportunities, and all the leverage that the elites use, Mark is giving you access to. So let's think big and reach out. Does anybody have any questions for Mark? Now's your time, because he's going to hop off here in a second. This is an incredible blessing for us to have him with us, because it was spur of the moment. There's our YouTube channel, just went up again. Some of you in shock, I get it, but think fast, because he's going to hop off here in a second. Any questions at all? All right. Mark, thank you for being with us once again. And we're very excited that this is finally coming to fruition, because we also, Daz and I, have plans too. So.
Absolutely. Love to help everybody on here. Remember, it's a who, not how mentality. Look around on this board. Everyone is a who to each other. So let's tap in. Let's grow in 2023.
Oh, love it. Thank you, Mark.
All right, you guys.
Now, while we've been talking, the crypto market has taken a DUMP. So whatever you do, don't look at Bitcoin right now. Unless you're short, then in that case, you're very happy. So anybody with general questions about funding, business, level 2, that was kind of your opportunity to talk about that. Turo, how to become an affiliate with us, how to join our ranks. And then if you're also looking to incorporate, if you're looking for how to take your own business to the next level, marketing, it's all there. That's right, blood in the crypto streets, Carrie Mack. I wish I'd have been watching. I was working on this thing. I'd have gone short. I actually took a little bit of it while he was talking. I'm sorry to say I was not fully present. I was like, I'll just jump in and get a little bit enigmatic, which I did. Sorry, I can't help myself sometimes. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyhow, thank you all. Thank you. Daz, anything you want to add?
As I always say, it's just ideal to find you passive income. You can only work so many hours, and it's 2023. It's showing up for every dollar is over. Get yourself in position.
Yeah, exactly. You can only work so many jobs, y'all. There's only so much time. Only so much time you can do. Well, with that being said, thank you all. Please reach out. We're about to get really busy with people coming in and getting their funding. You can apply tonight. We'll get it in by tomorrow, and it's 72-hour turnaround, but it usually happens same day. They're very fast. So if you send us an email with your scores on that secure website, again, here, let me post it. We will get it in by tomorrow morning, and no guarantees. It's guaranteed at 72 hours, but it's the same day. So the number3scores.com, download that PDF and send it to our secure site with phone, address, and your social slave, last four in the body of the email. Love you all madly. Check out the YouTube site where we have tons of content. Talk soon. Bye for now.
Blessings.